Hey guys, this is a quick breakdown of the CyberGoat Showdown 2 event that happened on the CyberGoat Central Discord server. Link will be in the description below. We're going to have a look at how the meta has shaped following this 18-person tournament with a combination of newcomers and returning players. We have some familiar decks from the last event, but Goat Control making its emergence in the top spots, 4 out of 8 of them, with Goat Control actually winning the event overall based on this list from Sentenza here, which was actually taken from Aratos in the CyberGoat Showdown 1. Carried over, it has now finally won the event, proving how strong it is, proving how consistent it is, proving it has a lot going for it. Being able to utilize some of the best cards in the format, like Cyberstein, calling in for that OTK, always going to be good. Being able to drop the BLS, combination of the light and dark monsters. With Cyber Dragons as well, being able to run 3 of them and using them to their full potential, in my opinion. Not just being a special summonable 2100 beat stick. These things can also help enable cards like Metamorphosis for extra monsters like Dark Balter, Fiend Skull Dragon, and of course Reaper on the Nightmare, but also being a great last will enabler to get into some of your other weaker monsters, like Stein as mentioned, but also like DD Warrior Lady and Exiled for those monster removal options, getting into your Sandgans for the searches, and even your Spear Reaper if you want to chip into your opponent's life points, or you just need a wall to help bolster your defenses. Obviously being able to run the Dust Shoots, which I consider a kind of mandate in this format, given Cyber Dragon is the most ran card, and this helps to deal with it effectively, as also it being a light type can help enable BLS, and for other decks it can enable the limiter removal plays, getting to that 4200 damage threshold. But as you can see, if you're looking for that really strong deck with a lot of playmaking potential, it's a lot of fun, you do a lot of different plays with it. It's not a helmet deck by any means. But on that stretch, you're also not just gonna automatically win with it. It does take a little bit of thinking, a little bit of skill, and that's what makes any great deck, and that's what makes any fun deck, in my opinion. But let's look at another deck that has emerged from the shadows, or let's talk about the Flames with the Panda Burn making its appearance in Cyber format. We all know this deck from the Go format. I don't need to talk about it too much. In fact, this deck doesn't really use a lot of the Cybernetic Revolution cards. It's not even a Cyber Dragon spotted. It's a carryover from Goat, but I think it has as proven getting into this runner-up position. The deck's got some legs. It's a deck people do have to watch out for. I'm not going to say it's automatically a tier 1 deck just because it got a runner-up, but Clemens did do a great job showcasing some of the deck's strengths, showing how dangerous it can be. With so many sheep tokens running around, the Gyakugair Panda really pops off. It can be the Goat tokens being kind of a death sentence going into this deck, because it just stacks up the power, obviously, of like Just Desserts and Secret Barrel. But I'm not going to ramble too much about that, as you guys would probably know better than me. But what really put in some work was these Floodgate cards, Gravity Bind, Level Limit Area B, and in the occasion Swords of Revealing Light. Given this format is more battle phase centric, being able to hold off your opponent for multiple turns without them being able to get into some of their spell trap removal, it's going to really help this deck scale in and get to these Just Desserts, these Secret Barrels, or other cards like the Ring and Cylinder, and some of the side deck options to deal with the opponent's aggression. You can run the, for example, we got these Cypher Soldiers, searchable off Rat to deal with the warriors and stuff. But I'd say so far the key is to deal with the Goat Control in this format. Could there be changes to the list to make it stronger? Absolutely. And I'm interested to see how Panda Burn progresses. Given the life point threshold also matters a lot more for all the Stein shenanigans, but also people paying life points as a result of cards like Delinquent Duo, or if they're on a strategy involving Dimension Fusion, Return from a Different Dimension, which hasn't really been appearing in this tournaments, but could come back. Regardless, this format seems to be shaping up to be more control-centric as opposed to aggro-centric like in past events, or like OTK with the reasoning gate shenanigans, which we haven't really been seeing much of. That could be a deck returning if things are going slower pace, as you want to be able to outpace these kind of control decks and beat over them before they get into all their tools. Speaking of aggressive decks, Warriors do come back into the top spot. Not quite getting the results they want, but it is Alethea. The GOAT himself is back. Not quite making it back into that final spot like before, but he's already won 2 championships already, and I have no doubt in my mind he's gearing up to come back and take the event for CyberGoat Showdown 3. And we see he from the last event, he has re-added the Solemn Judgments into this list, unlike the previous year where he left them out. We did talk about this at the end of the CyberGoat Showdown 1 finals, how Solemn Judgment might be too big of a life point incentive for how much people are going to swing in for hits, and for how much possible damage you can take on a turn, given Ring still exists, and you may be negating one thing with Solemn, but your opponent swings at you with another. An example being like Cyber Dragon coming in, punching in for all that damage. So, interesting to see him main deck the Solemn Judgments again. Again, it could be too much of a risk for high risk factor given this format's power, as it is a different high and a different tempo from GOAT. But regardless, it shows that Solemns can still work really well for Warriors. It just might be a bit risky. And we'll see what happens with Warriors continuing on. They might have maybe having too hard of a matchup with the GOAT control, but also Pandaburn coming in with those floodgates. They might have to adapt to the way things are going with all the tokens emerging, with all these floodgates, the pace of the game kind of slowing down, or at least for Cyber, until it possibly picks up back again. It was doing well when there was more aggro-centric decks like Stein Monarch taking spots, as it was able to kind of like knock down Stein Monarch's life points before they could get into their big plays. And speaking of Stein Monarch, while they did not reach any of the top 4 spots, we see them still making a solid run nonetheless, taking 2 of the top 8 spots. It still has that deadly combo with the Zaborg and Stein, got all the aggressive tools. The Cold Wave can be huge, it can be catastrophic for the opponent if they can't play any of their spell or trap cards. But this deck, I feel, might have to make some adjustments going to face more sheep tokens. It might need some more board wipe cards. It might need some more special summon shutdowns. Might have to rethink some of the strategy. I still think it's a strong deck. I'm not going to count it out just because it didn't quite make that top spot. But I think the Stein Monarch players might be looking for some new ways to counteract GOAT, like moving possibly King Tigers into the main, which might hurt some of their strategy with the Mystic Tomatoes. Who knows? I can't wait to see this deck return and see how it does for CyberGoat Showdown 3, to see what kind of changes to make going against the control-based decks that are taking these top spots. Now, this is based on 18 people, but we will see what happens without repeating myself too much. How the Stein Monarch will adapt. So as you can kind of see, we are seeing a lot of the same decks appear in the top spots, for the exception of the Pandaburn. But this has me thinking about a few things. Could the Turbo and OTK decks come back? I'm not specifically talking about Chaos Turbo. I mean the Turbo ones that are dropping the Reasoning, the Monster Gates. They're trying to quickly go in and beat these decks down before they get too much control and card advantage, or get into their win con like the Burn does. That remains to be seen. If you guys are interested in this kind of gameplay, this more aggressive, fast-paced version of GOAT format, definitely check out the Discord server. Definitely check out the events going in. I will be here gladly supporting the format. Signups do start October 23rd, and I hope to see you guys in the next Cyber Goat Showdown. Let me know what you guys think of this video, how we can improve it, how I can improve myself, and I can only hope to make this format more popular, more exciting, and more fun, and more engaging, of course. I'll see you guys around. This is PJ signing off. Peace.